I think one of the best ways to explain the mind-body connection is to give the example of, because when I am working with people in person, especially youth, young persons, one of the first things I will do to explain this is to ask them to stand. And if you're rewatching this video later, you can do it literally, to stand and lift the chest up, lift the shoulders, stand like Superman. Stand like Superman, right? And right away, when I investigate afterwards, you recognize that it does change. You don't stand like Superman and feel like a little mouse or a cockroach. When you stand like Superman, you right away, it begins to change how you're thinking, how you're feeling, right? And likewise, if I ask you to shrink the body and bring the shoulders forward and collapse in on yourself with, and hold the head down and so on, and I ask you to stay there long enough, you will experience a difference. When I haven't done anything to you, right? No event has happened per se to change what is happening in your feelings, in your mind. But by changing the body, we change the mind. And likewise, by changing the mind, we do change the body. And so, especially if you do stand and have this very physical experience with yourself, you do realize that in literally in everything that you're doing throughout the day, how you sit at your desk or in your car, and these habits, these physical habits, you learn that they're contributing to how you breathe, how you think, and how you feel. And likewise, how you feel, how you think, how you breathe contribute to what happens in the body, right? This relationship is something that it doesn't go one way. We look especially at persons who have had traumatic experiences. And one of the best ways sometimes is for them to kind of move through those experiences is to do the mind work, right? From a psychological perspective, but to also have a physical experience that allows them to feel safety again in their bodies, or allows them to release emotions that need to be released. And so, it's sort of difficult or impossible for us to separate one from the other and think that we will influence one or change one and not have some change in the other. Now, in yoga, I think yoga is perhaps the first place I learned to or came into contact with the idea of mind body. And it's something that, I still can't really fully explain what I felt, and if you've done yoga, you kind of get what I'm talking about. There is a way that just when I stepped into my first experience with yoga was actually a yoga teacher training. I started yoga through a yoga teacher training almost. Mm-hmm. And my whole life changed from just going to the mat and practicing. I wasn't talking, I wasn't doing anything more than going to the mat and practicing. And so I think yoga really understands there's a wisdom that perhaps is beyond what we can explain in words now. The way that poses are set up and how that's why it's good to have a holistic practice. Yes. So the way a back bend is said to open the heart, but literally, and it literally does open the body, which is different from a forward fold that invites you to be more introspective and rest the mind. And this is something that you're literally in one class moving through a physical experience that shifts the mind experience, that shifts the emotional landscape as well, especially if you're practicing consistently over time, right? So I would say yoga was a huge, in addition to therapy, because I really am a big advocate for talk therapy, but I would say yoga significantly helped me in dealing with depression when nothing else did, you know. It was really yoga that began that journey and even allowed me to go into talk therapy at some point.